Fellow historians, welcome back to the MMA History Podcast. In this episode, the MMA detective Mike Davis sits down for a one-on-one interview with Olympic gold medalist and MMA pioneer Mark Schultz. Mark opens up about his legendary wrestling career, his Olympic journey, and the life and legacy of his brother Dave Schultz, including Dave's tragic murder at the hands of John du Pont. He also talks about his introduction to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Rickson Gracie, his tradition into the early world of mixed martial arts, and what it was like being a part of that wild formative era. It's a powerful interview with one of the most important crossover athletes in combat sports history. Enjoy the episode. Let us know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you guys afterwards for the wrap-up show. Welcome to the show. I am MMA insider and Herb Dean's dog sitter, Joey Venti, and you're listening to the MMA History Podcast, the only podcast dedicated 100% to the preservation of mixed martial arts history. Interviews and stories about the early days of MMA direct from the men who lived it. Hundreds of interviews, thousands of hours of research, all conducted by the most obsessed mind in the business, the MMA detective Mike Davis. Join us as we document the history of the sport we all love.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest, an Olympian, a national champion, a UFC veteran, and somebody who I know a movie has touched upon a portion of his life, but I don't think enough has actually been done in terms of documentation. A very special guest, Mark Schultz. Mark, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure, Mike. You're the greatest host and MMA detective there is.
Well, Mark, the one thing that I have noticed about both you and your brother, and I briefly touched on this before we started recording. I know we had talked in the past, and there was a lot that was actually left out. So our foundation is going to be the same, but it's going to be kind of going down the same path. But I've got a lot more that I wanted to add, as well as it was a shame that the video had gotten lost on the last interview, and this was just us kind of, allowing it to live.
Yeah, I really like that. I don't know what happened to the video. How did it get
So Miguel was doing something he shouldn't on YouTube and got the entire channel erased.
Miguel.
Yeah. So
okay.
Kind of. I mean, it was the fork in the road, and it is what it is. So initially, what I had planned on doing was combining you and your brother's records and lives kind of together and just do something on the Schultz family. But when I attempted to do that, it's preposterous, some of the things that took place, how they laid out, what had happened. It's almost like it would take 6 hours to get through, but it also appears that there's no way that this all can be true.
Yeah, well, you can always read, whoever is listening out there can always read my book, which, by the way, is my autobiography. It is not a true crime story. It's my autobiography. So if you get on there and you read it and you don't like it because it's all about me, it's my autobiography.
Well, I mean, somebody should write something about you, and something should be written separate about your brother. I mean, your lives are both incredible, and the things that you guys accomplished it's unheard of. Let's start with a little fact about your brother. So Vlad Matyunshenko, Olympian, legendary wrestling coach. He's got some incredible wins. Are you aware that when he defected from Russia, it was because of your brother and Royce Alger?
Wait, say his name again?
Vladimir Matyunshenko.
When he came here, did he go to a college like
he did?
California?
Yes.
So Aspen College?
And then he went over to Raw Team after.
Okay. Yeah. I met him. Yeah. He's a good, tough guy. Really tough.
So he went into a meeting because the team was being shorted a per diem of food, and they were all very hungry, and the coaches were keeping it. The team elected him, Vlad Matyunshenko, and Vladimir Shenko to go talk to the coaches. As a team, they go into the room. Aronsenko and Matyunshenko speak up to where the rest of the team, once they did it, backed down. Vlad and Aaron knew right then and there when they returned to Russia that they were going to prison. They went to your brother's room, and he and Royce Alger convinced them to defect with whatever clothing that they had on their backs.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, that's a spur of the moment decision to just leave everything behind. Just
yeah,
I'm here for life.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
So,
but I would probably do that if I was him. All I have to do is walk into a McDonald's or something. I'd be like, screw Russia. They don't have any food. They don't have any money.
Yeah. So one of the early coaches that used to hang out at the Olympic Training Center in Arizona was a guy named Richard Hamilton.
Yeah, you told me about him, hanging out with Mark Coleman. I never met him, but I saw a picture of him at the UFC. He looks like a child molester. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think you nailed that one. So you guys never communicated?
Never.
What about Mark Densberger?
Never.
Okay, the Severance guy. Okay. In Extreme Fighting, John Peretti's organization, they tried to get you to come fight for them. Do you remember those negotiations?
No. They didn't get me to try to. Who said that?
The matchmaker and owner, John Peretti, was dealing with John Smith in order to try to get you while John was at the University of Arizona.
What was he trying to get me to do?
To fight for Extreme Fighting Battlecade.
What were the rules? Do you remember?
It was very UFC-ish.
Like early days?
UFC? It was early days,
Oh, wow.
You fighting for the UFC.
Well, if they weren't going to, I don't know, were they paying guys very much?
They were okay. I mean, no one really was.
Okay, yeah. Honestly, I don't remember. I mean, they might have. I could be wrong. A lot of people talk to me about lots of stuff, and I just phase out because it's like repetitive, and I just don't care. So it could have been. It's possible somebody tried to say something to me about that. I don't remember it though.
Okay, so you started wrestling as a junior in high school. You were a state champion gymnast.
No, I was Northern California state champion, not state champion.
Okay. And then you flipped over to wrestling. What was the reason for you to leave gymnastics and go to wrestling?
I had a terrible lack of confidence, and I also just happened to be born into the same family as the greatest high school wrestler in history. It was, I mean, you might as well just call this guy the most confident guy in the country. And so I was really jealous of Dave, how confident he was, and he was tougher than nails. I mean, when I was a kid, people picked on me. He'd go beat the shit out of them, but nobody picked on me. So I was like, I'd like intimidate everybody in the school because I had this big brother. No, I'm kidding. But gymnastics was great. It gave me incredible explosive power, balance, flexibility, upper body strength, kinesthetic sense, but it wasn't giving me the confidence I knew I needed to be happy with myself. I couldn't defend myself. I didn't know how to defend myself. And Dave, of course, he not only defend himself, he can attack and beat up. He can offend people and win. And I mean, he was just crazy. He had this little girl's bike that had this little basket on the front. He'd carry his wrestling shoes around in there, and wear his singlet everywhere, and just pull up to some school and just ask people if they wanted to wrestle. And he'd just do that. He'd challenge anybody, anytime, anywhere. That was his, modus operandi. wrestle anytime, anywhere with anybody. And he's a very smart person too. Well, you know, he had dyslexia when he was a kid, so people thought he was retarded. And they stuck him in these special reading class, the remedial reading classes, because they thought he was retarded. But dyslexic kids are actually more intelligent than normal kids. So he was actually more intelligent than the kids that were in the class reading these books. You know, like Ann and Sam went down the slide. He just hated that class. And I don't know how he got through high school and junior high and elementary school without being able to read. I mean, the guy figured it out somehow. I don't know how he did it, but he figured it out.
Did he had trouble reading in high school?
Yeah, he couldn't read. You know what dyslexia is?
Of course. Yeah.
The letters. Well, his problem, he told me, was the letter D, B, P, and Q would flip up and down and back and forth all the time, so he couldn't read. So that was the problem. His brain. What happens is your brain never takes dominance. If I'm right-handed, I'm left brain dominant. If I'm left-handed, I'm right brain dominant. His brain never took dominance, so he was writing with his left hand. He was kicking with his right foot, and he was shooting with his right eye. And so he was ambidextrous, so he could do moves equally well to both sides. So it was very difficult to scout him and wrestle him because he was dangerous from every position. And it was an advantage. I think dyslexia became an advantage, to tell you the truth. Bruce Jenner is a dyslexic. I think he was confused about which gender he was. But Diana Ross, she's dyslexic. There's a bunch of great athletes. Well, Diana Ross is an athlete, but there's a bunch of very high achievers that are dyslexic. Dave's just one of them.
So that was your wrestling partner in high school.
Not until after I won the state. A lot of people think Dave taught me how to wrestle to win the California state. When I transferred from gymnastics to wrestling,
your junior year,
my junior year, I was a 130-pounder. I was a 123-pound gymnast as a sophomore, then a 130-pound wrestler as a junior, and my record was 4-6. And then the coach kicked me off the team because I wasn't good enough. And I went and complained to the principal, and I said, "Hey, the coach has created a challenge match system to make the team, the varsity, and I've won under his system, and then he kicks me off. That's not fair. He made me challenge this second string guy 11 times in 10 weeks, and I beat him 10 times, but then he kicks me off the team anyway." And I went to the principal and I said, "Hey, he's created a system that I've won under his system, and then he kicks me off the team. That's not fair." And the principal, of course, agreed with me and told him he had to put me back on the varsity. But because I went to the principal, that coach hated my guts after that. And so I couldn't wrestle for him anymore. And then it's kind of funny because when I came back in 1984,
let's just kind of dial this in. So you kicked off. This is junior year. You transfer to a school in Oregon for a semester, and then you go back.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. And it's kind of funny. I was just going to say, when I came back as Olympic champion, Ashland gave me the key to the city, and he showed up at the ceremony, and it was kind of awkward having him there, you know, because he kicked me off the team as a junior because I wasn't good enough. Anyway, after he kicked me off the team, I transferred back to Palo Alto High School, and my gymnastics coach in high school was also the wrestling coach. His name's Ed Hart. He was just inducted into the California Wrestling Hall of Fame last August. Anyway, he's a great coach, great guy, But I didn't really need a coach. I taught myself how to do everything. I heard Dave kept notes, so I kept notes, and I wrote down all the moves. I put the tie up on the top of the page, like whizzer, underhook, high crotch, single, double, whatever, whizzer, over under. And then below that, I would put all the finishes. And then on the back of that page, I'd put the counters to that tie up. And then I'd have another page for reversals, another page for escapes. And then I started getting into chain wrestling, and that became sort of an infinite, thing. There's an infinite number of chains. So I quit doing that. And I just focused on the moves that I've been learning, and I needed to find out which ones were going to work against the best guys in the world, which moves were going to work. And then as soon as I found one, that became a very closely guarded secret. I never told anybody about anything that I thought I could use against anybody in the world. There's not that many of them. There's maybe 7 moves like that. But yeah, I never told anybody about it. My hand control stand-up in college, I never told anybody about that. And that's extremely simple. I couldn't figure out, why doesn't everybody do this? When I was in the finals of the NCAAs in college, I had 3.5 minutes writing time on my opponent my sophomore year, 3.5 minutes writing time on Banach, and 4 minutes writing time on Dwayne Goldman my senior year. So I had this very effective escape riding technique that I would employ all the time. And I never told anybody about that either. So I'm going to have to shut this interview down so nobody knows anything more about me.
Well, let's take a like one step at a time. So your competitive nature is abundantly present in high school, and you say you don't have a lot of confidence, but you had enough to go and speak to the principal about saying, no, wait a minute. I got that spot. That one's mine. You leave for a semester, you come back, and the state of California is one of the best in the entire country for wrestling.
I think it is the best.
I mean, between there, Texas, yeah.
900 schools. It's Pennsylvania's got around 9,000 wrestlers. California's got 3,000 more than Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
But I think the quality of Pennsylvania is higher. It's just California's quality is high because it's the sheer numbers.
Right. Well, back then I would even say California was probably a little bit higher than Pennsylvania at this time. So you go back, you're a virtual, really unknown other than your so-and-so's brother. That's how they probably are referred to you as. And you win a state title. What was your record senior year?
My record was, I was 17-2 going into the state qualifiers. I had been undefeated in dual meets, but I hadn't won any tournaments. We went to 2 tournaments, 2 16-team tournaments that year. The Alisal, I got beat my first match and was eliminated. And then the Monte Vista, I took 3rd. That was my only experience in tournaments. And then at the end of the year, at the state qualifiers, I won the league, the region, the section, and the state. And I am still the only California state champion never to win a tournament prior to the state qualifiers. And a lot of people think that Dave's the one that helped me do all that. I never wrestled with Dave one time from the time I started wrestling to the time I won the state.
He was doing international competition his senior year as well. Like he competed in Tbilisi.
I know. I mean, he took 2nd in Tbilisi as a 17-year-old. It's insane. The guy is he's a freak. He's like an alien or something. I don't know what the heck. He's got dyslexia. He's like killing people breaking my back with his legs, throwing legs in. I swear to God, every time he threw legs in on me, I swear it was illegal.
So when I describe the Schultz brothers to people, you guys are kind of like that high-end attorney that you pay a couple $1,000s an hour for, because it was, all right, you can't lock your hands in a certain position. So you guys would like make a cuff like this. And you're like, well, I'm not grabbing my hands, I'm grabbing my wrist. And they would be, oh,
Yeah,
got
yeah,
us again.
yeah. Referees, I think we taught them a few things, like the double wrist lock, the front headlock when you cut the corner. Uh, um, and when I was, well, when, when when I was in the Olympics, I uh, broke the Turk's arm with the very first move that I threw in that tournament. And my brother had hurt the Yugoslavian the match right before I broke the Turk's arm. The Turk was ranked #1 in the world. Reşit Karabacak was the European champion. He beat all the Russians that boycotted the Olympics. And now I got him. Now, the way you weigh in, you step on the scale and then you reach into a bucket and you pull an egg out, and inside the egg is a number. And I pulled out the number 6. And Karabajak standing right behind me, he weighs in and he pulls out the number 8. So on the even side of the bracket, first match, 2 wrestles 4, 6 wrestles 8. I have the gold medal match, my very first match. I am scared out of my mind, for lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm.
I go back to my hotel and I just stare at a wall for 2 hours, just waiting for this match, just sweating, just sitting, staring. And first move of the match, he does a limp arm to a high crotch and he gets in super deep. And I had seen this move done by this Cuban on some guy from Paraguay or Uruguay or one of those Guay countries. And he threw the guy head over heel with his double wrist lock. The Brazilians call it a kimura now.
Kimura, yeah.
Renamed it. Anyway, this guy grabbed it, he threw it. The Paraguay guy, he flipped head over heels, and the Cuban got 2 points. That's how I learned that move. But I'd never done it in practice or competition. I used to do that move all the time with the guy's head on the inside, where I would grab the double wrist lock and then pull his head and pull his arm up here so that his head was trapped right below here. He couldn't back out. He was trapped. So I've done that move a lot with the head on the inside, but I never did it with the head on the outside. But it was go time. Him or me, and I said it's going to be me, and I just threw it, and instead of him flipping head over heels, he hit his head, stopping his momentum, and I just held on to the arm and just snapped his elbow instantly, and I land on top of him. I'm looking back at the ref like, hurry up and call the fall before they find out what I did. And so they call the fall, and they take him to the hospital.
Let me interject. They call the fall in less than 20 seconds on the #1 guy in the bracket who had a broken arm. So like it's pretty dicey.
And then they put Rafael Martinetti, or no, Mario Soletnik, #1 referee in the world, on Dave and me the rest of the Olympics. So everybody's got 2 mat judges and a ref. Me and Dave have got 2 mat judges, a ref, and Mario. So they're watching us the rest of the time because they think we're dirty, and we're not. We're just doing stuff that referees hadn't thought about for a while.
Well, I would say they gave you a certain set of rules. In wrestling at this time, there was very, very little money, and unlike 99% of the wrestlers, you guys read the rules and you go, well, what about this? What about this? What about? And these are things that should have been brought forward when creating the rules, but none of it was. So you guys were just like, well, these aren't included, so they're illegal. So we're going to do them, even though nobody else will.
That's right. I'll give you an example. That double wrist lock that I did on the Turk, there's no rule against that.
No.
They made that rule up after that match, right after the match. They created a new rule right after the match saying that the arm cannot be taken beyond 90-degree angle. Well, if you look at the match and you look at his arm is right at 90 degrees when it breaks. So, it's kind of like, well, what do we do now? It's so close. Did he go over? Did he break the rule or didn't he? There was no rule before that match. There was no rule.
I
So
think the mechanics of it as well. Like a wrestler always defends a takedown. They sprawl. You gave it to him. He wasn't expecting that. You gave it to him.
well, I don't know if I gave it to him. I mean, he was incredibly quick. I mean, this guy was super fast, super technical, and I didn't really give him my leg.
You took the Kimura. I'll tell you that.
Well, yeah, Dave and I were not averse to letting people in on our legs because we had that double wrist lock, and so we were like fine with it. But his head was on the outside, and it just I tell you, I think I just got lucky. I think it's just I was just like, well, I've never done it before, but it's time to try. And it worked. I got lucky.
Here. He goes, I mean, it's like I said, it's 20. You got the number one and arguably number two guy in the bracket to start the tournament. And the number two guy, yourself, pins the number one guy in 20 seconds. Like the referee must have been like, what the, like, what? Wait. And then there's more? That's kind of what it looks like how it played out. Like, wait a minute.
If you look at the referee after that match,
holy shit.
He goes, he looks down at the Turkey and he looks over at his ref.
He doesn't know what to do.
It's like, what do I do?
Dude, to even referee at the Olympics, the amount of miles on your odometer, just to even be considered to be a referee at the Olympics, like you've got to have a couple 100,000 matches under your belt. And now you get drawn for arguably the most important match of the bracket.
Definitely.
And like, if you look at, let's rewind, because if you look at that bracket, and I don't want to get into this too much because I want to go through your college. If you look at your bracket, you had the hardest side of the bracket. Like the other side was, there's nothing easy in the sport of wrestling, but if you had to pick and choose, like, oh my God, the easiest path to get to the finals is on that other side. Your side of the bracket was very top heavy.
It was definitely, it was way tougher than the odd side of the bracket.
Yeah. So let's go back to college. Okay. So wrestling, your senior year, you kind of come out of nowhere. You don't have a huge record. Like you had mentioned the number of wrestlers in California, but you've got under 20 matches, for the season.
My season ended, I think I was 30-2.
Okay.
I think
that including the tournament.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was 17-2 going into the state qualifiers, the league, the region, the section, and the state. The difference between Dave, you couldn't find two more opposite kinds of state champions.
I agree.
California, if you tried, and we're brothers. This is like,
let me quantify on this. Dave was a technician, like one of the greatest technicians ever to walk this earth. You were a power guy. Would you agree with that? I mean, you had technical ability, but you were a stop power, like guy as compared to a chain wrestling guy like your brother?
It's very tempting to try to dramatize the differences between Dave and me. It's just a better media story. But the truth of the matter is, we weren't that much different from each other. I was very technical, and Dave was extremely brutal. So, the fact that he was more technical than me, at least that's what people thought. I don't think he was, but if he's gonna, if someone's gonna have the moniker greatest technician in America, I'm glad it's Dave. But he I never asked Dave how to do anything, but he asked me how to do moves all the time. If I got him on something, he'd ask me how I did it, and I'd show him. But I never asked him how to do anything because he'd go into these long, complicated explanations. It just confused the hell out of me. So I was like, just do it and I'll copy. And I was a gymnast, so it was very easy for me to copy because we have to copy like very risky, complicated techniques in gymnastics, way more complicated and risky than wrestling. So wrestling moves were easy I could look at some wrestling move and I'd do it one time and that's my move now.
Mm-hmm. So you go to college, you start at UCLA. Based on your limited history in wrestling up until this point, was it difficult to get looks from colleges?
Yeah, I only got two looks, UCLA and Oklahoma State. And Oklahoma State, that's where Dave was going. Dave had just finished his freshman year at Oklahoma State. He went 30 wins, 5 losses, and 1 tie. And I think you corrected me on that one time. I got it wrong, but you corrected me. Anyway, Dave, he was at Oklahoma State, and Tommy Chesbro wanted Dave to stay at 150 because he just took third, and they just recruited Ricky Stewart at 158, and Ricky couldn't cut to 50. So Chesbro, the coach, wanted Dave to stay at 50, and Dave didn't want to do that. It was too hard of a cut. So he told me on my recruiting trip, I only got 2 recruiting trips, UCLA and Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State recruiting trip, Dave told me I probably shouldn't go there because he's probably not going to stay because Chesbro is too set. He's got his mind set on me going 50, and I don't want to go 50. And I don't blame him. I couldn't go 50 either. My coach actually made me go 50 one time at UCLA for 4 matches, and I lost all of them because you can't. Gymnasts are so lean, they can't lose weight unless they dehydrate, and dehydration crushes your conditioning. And conditioning is what wins in wrestling.
Oh yeah.
In gymnastics, technique is what wins in gymnastics, but conditioning is what wins in wrestling. And you don't even have to be a very good technician to win in wrestling if you're in good enough shape. I mean, look at Ed Banach. Ed Banach, he pinned or superior decisioned every single one of his opponents in the 1980 NCAAs, 81 NCAAs, and 82 NCAAs until he met me. And that was, but he was just in such great shape, such great condition. He ran a 5-minute mile. I was on the world team with him in 1983. He ran a 5-minute mile. That's incredible for a 198 pounder. I mean,
yeah. Okay, let's dial this in. So freshman year, you're at UCLA. You go 18-8. The 4 matches you had at 150, you lose. And you also are 150 and 158, you got a high degree of success. You're 18-4 at 158.
Right.
Then you transfer to University of Oklahoma. Did Ron Tripp have anything to do with that?
I mean, convincing us to go to Oklahoma?
Yeah.
No, it was Jim Humphrey, the other assistant coach. Ron was an assistant coach, but so was Jim. And Jim was the assistant coach on the junior world team to Mongolia in 1979. And we met him there, and we really liked him. He was a really funny guy, really just and he's tough as shit. He's a world silver medalist, two-time U.S. Open champion. So we were like, why don't we just go with Jim? Oklahoma's going to have a super tough team. They expect us to win. If we stay at UCLA and we win, it's going to be a miracle. If we go to Oklahoma and win, it'll be like par for the course. So I thought, yeah, well, okay, we could do that, but making the team is gonna be the big thing. Who, I didn't even know who was in my weight class at Oklahoma. And, I'm just walking onto this team that's already filled with guys.
Established, yeah.
And my guy turned out to be Israel Shepherd, who was just freaking built like Hercules. The guy could sprint faster than anybody on the team. And he's very, very tough guy. And man, he used to corner his hair and then drive those corners into my face, scrape a couple layers of skin off. I'd take a shower afterwards and be like, ah. And anyway, finally my headgear padding wore out one day and the metal was shining through and he went to headbutt me and I turned and cut him with the metal. And I thought, I think I just found the answer to Israel's cornrows. But yeah, that was a really tough place to go because the first day of practice, Dan Abel takes us out on this run, a 2-mile run around this duck pond. It's 107 degrees out, 98% humidity. It was the hottest I've ever been in my life. And after this run, I thought, how am I going to get through 4 years of this? He's killing it. He's killing us. And so, anyway, I had studied this Eastern Indian philosopher, Jiddu Krishnamurti. Have you ever heard of him? I mean, besides from what I've said.
It's just yourself, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, he really changed my life a lot. Well, it was a combination of wrestling and him, but it really brought me out of a dark place, and I was becoming happy again. And the happier I became, the more successful I became, and the more successful I became, the more happier I became. So it was all just building on top of it itself. And I had no doubt Dave was going to make the team. Whoever was at Oklahoma at Dave's weight, it better get out of that damn weight now because your life is over.
It's in trouble.
Dave was so freaking. He was just his mentality was just like he was just like a bulldog. He just tear you apart, the limb from the man.
So you guys are new. You go to the program. What's your reception like with Stan Abel, the head coach?
Oh, well, he's a little bit. He loves Dave. Dave is a superstar. Dave is he's freshman of the year, third in the NCAAs, 35-1. I'm 18-8. Didn't even win a match at the NCAAs. So he's looking at me a lot different than he's looking at Dave, and he's treating me different than he's treating Dave. And so he treated Dave, like a VIP for a long time. And then finally, when I started beating everybody, then he kind of came around to my side of the mat,
Well, you get a red shirt your freshman year, and
no, my sophomore.
Oh, your sophomore year. I apologize, but the thing is, you're still developing. Like you're still learning the sport.
Yeah, I just started like in 1976 November, and now we're in 1970. Now we're in November 1979. So I'm in Oklahoma now, and it's my third year after starting the sport. And but I had an advantage. I had being a gymnast gave me such a huge advantage over everybody else because my body could do things that nobody else's body could do. I mean, I had the best balance, the best explosive power, the best coordination, kinesthetic sense. I mean, I was doing 2.5 twisting, 1.5 backs off the 3-meter board. I was doing 2.5 fronts. I could, I had supreme confidence in my athletic ability, and I didn't have to think about it either. I had to think about the technique, of course, but the athletic part that was score for me or kept me from getting scored, my body reacted uh, on its own. You know that movie Avatar where
Yeah.
the Na'vi are swinging from the trees, and he says, "My body is learning how to do this better now." Your body has a brain of its own. You could call it a brain, I guess. And gymnasts, they know about this because their body has to do these incredible acrobatic tricks. You can't think your way through these tricks. They're so fast, they're so complicated. Your body has to learn how to do them through repetition, muscle memory. And so even though wrestling wasn't like that, because gymnastics you have to do the same thing, same way, every time perfectly. Wrestling is never like that. It's never perfect. It's always just a constant series of adjustments. But because of my gymnastics training, my body would naturally adjust exactly. My legs and my hands and my feet would go exactly where they were supposed to go to the millimeter, and that's how much of an advantage gymnastics is. I, I'd recommend all parents get their kids into gymnastics at least a couple of years before they do anything crazy like wrestling.
I think it also helped with your breathing. You didn't hold your breath at times when oftentimes others do. Like you knew when to breathe. You knew when the breaks were where you can kind of get a good, lung of air.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I used to have like dreams at night that I had a third lung. I just our practices at Oklahoma were so brutal. It was almost like you drove yourself into suffocation like multiple times a day. And we used to leave the wrestling room at Oklahoma, and the air would have this fog, and the mats would be covered in puddles, and our clothes are completely drenched, like we just jumped in, like we're participating in some strange clothed water sport or something. Our shoes are squishy, and we're the the I remember one day I was looking at this baseball player, and he's sitting on this diamond, and he's got this ball and he's throwing it up and down, throwing it up and down. And I'm thinking to myself, and I just got done fighting my ass off against Israel. I'm bleeding. I'm exhausted. I can't hardly breathe. And I go over to this window and I'm opening it up just to get some cold air. And I see this baseball player down there throwing this ball up and down. And I'm thinking to myself, that guy is on the exact same scholarship as I'm on, and I'm in here killing myself, and he's throwing this ball up and down.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So Ron Tripp is one of the assistant coaches. He was there from 82 to 85. Andre Metzger was his prize student.
I have breaking news. Did you know Ron Tripp beat Rickson Gracie?
Yes. Yeah.
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 This is yeah, this is before he told me he was 400-0.
It's true. With Metzger, you guys had a real competitive nature between the two of you guys as well.
Metzger and I thought he was my best friend. I thought we were best friends, but apparently we weren't, and that it's unfortunate that it was exposed in the way it was exposed. Du Pont used his money to like dangle a carrot in front of both of us when he when he hired both of us to come to Foxcatcher and coach there. Actually, Villanova. It wasn't. We didn't go to Foxcatcher. We went there to go to Villanova, start a new Division I college program. But we started having trouble almost immediately after he got there. And I had never had any trouble with him before, but I had never had to deal with him in a situation where money was an issue. And it was sad. I saw him at Stan Abel's memorial. I went up to him. I said, "Hey, I love you, Andre." And I just walked away. I just hate the fact that our friendship was destroyed by that creep, and it was so damaged. I don't know if it'll ever recover. Probably won't. But I just wanted him to know it's not his fault. It's not my fault. We didn't have the money. We weren't the one playing the games. So,
Yeah. So your second year of wrestling in college, you wrestle at 167.
right.
Your junior year, you move up to 177, so your brother could wrestle at 167.
Right. And so Israel Shepherd could move into the lineup at 158. He had Stan Abel had a problem with Dave and me and Israel. We were three guys in only two weight classes. So he redshirted us. Of course, we had to redshirt when we first got there. And he wrestled Israel. And then the next year he redshirted Israel and wrestled us at 58 and then me at 67. And the next year I went 77. Dave goes up to 67 and Israel moves in at 158. He ends up winning his third All-American plaque. He took two thirds, and his senior year I think he got fourth. Anyway,
That's a crazy room. That's a crazy room. Yeah.
we had this we had this there's padding everywhere in the room and around the columns, and at the bottom of one column there's no padding. It's just wood, bare wood. So every time I got Israel up in the air, like in a double leg or something, I'd like switch off to like a half Nelson and try and drive his head into that wood. I was literally trying to murder him.
Sure, he's happy to hear that. Was there a wrestle off between the three of you guys to kind of figure out who would go what weight, or was it decided by Abel?
Abel had one wrestle off my sophomore year. I wrestled a guy named Mark Angles. I don't know. What is that? I forgot his last name. Whatever. Anyway, I wrestled him, and that was the only challenge match I had. One time, Abel tried to convince Dan Shade. I brought Dan Shade with me to Oklahoma, and I brought him with me to Villanova, too. We grew up around the same area, San Jose. And so I brought him there with me. And one time, Abel, I don't know what Abel's problem is. I don't know. My senior year was the most difficult year of my life by far. And there were so many factors that contributed to that. And one of the factors was Abel's assistant, Eric Weiss, starts cheating on his Abel's wife, and Eric start cheating with each other. And then she divorces Abel and marries Eric. And Abel is just miserable. He couldn't have been more miserable. And he wouldn't show up for practices. He'd just go out drinking every night.
Oh,
And
Jesus.
just the worst. I had no coaches in the whole room. Eric Weiss was gone. Jim Humphrey had taken the job with Canada. He was the Canadian national coach. And now Abel's off drinking every night. And so we're going to practice every day with no coaches in the room. It was so difficult. And the pressure was so incredible. I'm going for my third NCAA title as a senior. I've seen people lose as seniors, and I would rather commit suicide than lose as a senior. I was ready to commit suicide, and and nobody seemed to care.
Let me interject so people can understand. So your junior year, when you meet Banach in a final,
Banach.
Banach, I apologize, Banach in a final, you get Matt Reese, who
I
won.
never wrestled Matt Reese. We got into this last time when
Dave ran into Matt Reese. Okay, at 167. Yeah, see, this is okay.
Wait a minute. Did Dave wrestle Matt Reese?
While in a tournament to determine the national championship, Dave Schultz runs into Matt Reese. Matt Reese, okay. 167. Yeah, there we go. Okay.
What year?
I apologize.
I know what year, but what round?
It would have been, I think it was a quarters.
The quarters, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like you guys, but you guys have no coach. You got Banach, who's a junior and he's a two-time national champion. You got your brother that's got Mike Sheets in the finals, and you got Reese in the quarterfinals. Like, listen, the NCAA tournament, there's no easy way to win it, but you guys had legit hard brackets. When you've got returning winners.
Yeah, that weight class was voted by my peers
most difficult.
Yeah, the toughest weight class in the last 50 years.
I could see that.
And 167 the year before at my weight, that was ranked 5th toughest weight class in the last 50 years. So I had the number 1 and number 5 weight classes.
Well, I think you being in there kind of helps juice that number up. You know what I mean? Like you're sitting here going, well. I think you were a major factor.
Obviously, but you look at the other guys. I mean, in '81, I had Mike Deanna, John Hanrahan, Perry Hummel, Mike Sheets. We were all on the All-American, podium together. And then the next year, it's me, Banach, Charlie Heller, and a bunch of other guys. Perry Hummel was there also. Yeah.
Okay, so the coach decided the weight classes there was no wrestle off, just to kind of put some clarity on that question.
Yeah, and I appreciated that a lot because when I was in high school, like I told you, that coach, he made me wrestle off 11 times in 10 weeks, and it burned me out. Wrestling off really burns you out because you're wrestling somebody that knows you better than anybody because they're in the room with you every day. So it's not really like other matches. It's a different kind of match, It's so I actually I don't know how Stan Abel came up with the idea that he was going to just have one competition. They call it the Crimson and Cream, Crimson versus Cream dual meet. I don't know how he came up with the idea that he wasn't going to have people wrestling off a lot. But if he had a question in his mind, like who's better, he'd make them wrestle off.
In the finals, Ed, who's on his way to becoming the first 4-time national champion, you guys had seen each other twice that season. You went 1-1. What happened in your first match?
He beat me 5-4 at the Midlands. And I'd never performed very good in the Midlands. I don't know. But they gave me a silver medal and I immediately deposited it into the local garbage can.
So the second time you guys wrestle, you beat him 10-9.
Yeah.
Which was an upset.
Not only was it an upset, it was one of the greatest college matches of all time. And I would do anything. If anybody out there has got a copy of that match or even snippets of it or pictures of it even. But that was an incredible dual meet. The team went 19-19 against Iowa. I beat Banach. Dr. Death tied Lou Banach. And the Banach brothers are both Olympic champions. They're both multiple time NCAA champions and both Olympic champions. I mean, they're incredible. And they just have this gas tank that's like a third lung, the one I always wanted.
So Banach is a two-time national champion, going first, third. You're in the way. You guys are 1-1. 1 point has been the deciding factor in each of those matches. Your brother goes up against Mike Schultz and beats him in overtime, which is pretty incredible within itself.
You're the one that told me he won in overtime. I had never really paid much attention to his. I know if he wins or loses, but I don't really pay that much attention to his scores. I thought he had won by 1 point for a long time, and then you said, "No, I think it was overtime." And so I looked it up, and it was on the fifth criteria. I didn't even know what the fifth criteria is. Do you know?
I don't think they did either.
Nobody knows.
So he's got Mike Schultz, who's given him a lot of issues up until this time. Mike Schultz is legit.
Oh, he beat Dave. It was Dave's only loss that year, twice.
Yep.
For that match.
His old alma mater.
I know, isn't that weird? Dave goes to Oklahoma State, and the two guys that he loses to in the finals the next 2 consecutive years in a row are from Oklahoma State. That's strange. It's coincidental or something. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just.
So you guys meet in a dual meet. Earlier that year, you win 9-9. You're 1-1 against each other. Ed is from a family of 14, 3 of which are on the same Iowa wrestling team. In the first period, there's like the one thing that you look at modern day wrestling, and really it's just kind of an offshoot of what the Russians have been doing for a really long time. There's a lot of stalling, a lot of just, I'm not going to say posturing. It's just, all right, there's 30 seconds left. Now I got to get my points. And you and your brother are smart enough to understand that's the game that they play in Russia. You've seen it, but you don't apply that. You go after Ed with a throw right off the bat. You wind up on your back.
Yeah, me, all my intellect, my superior intellect, I'm on my back.
Like in the first 15 seconds, you're on your back. And you got a 2-time national champion on top of you, and you're kind of, some people would argue you're up a weight class.
And he had beat me 4 times before that. He beat me 3 times before that year, and he beat me once that year. So, we had a history together. So I was pretty pissed off about the fact that he just was in such good shape, and he was just so. He just drove everybody into exhaustion. I mean, if you look at his record in the NCAAs in 1980, 81, and 82.
Tech fall.
There's only one guy that was not tech fall, and that was Colin Kilrain, the 3-time bronze medalist, once to Banach. And yeah, he was really good. He became a Navy SEAL. Anyway, that's the only guy that didn't get pinned or superior by Banach.
They were so convinced that Banach was going on to have his hand raised, they didn't even interview you before the match. They only interviewed him.
Yeah, and I'm sitting back in the hotel watching that interview, and I'm just looking at this guy. And at one point in the interview, he goes, "Yeah, I'd like to win tonight, and then win my 4th next year, and then go on to win the Olympics and make the Olympic team." And I think there's other wrestlers that'll come along and do that too. And I was like, he's acting like he's already done it. And I was just like, oh God, just please kill me if I lose to this guy. And I was serious.
I can tell you that with your history with him going into that, how did you get your mind right? Because oftentimes wrestling is a mental game more than it is physical. And he had a pretty good degree of success against you.
Oh, absolutely. He had a good degree of success against everybody. I mean, this guy was a steamroller. God, when he first showed up on the scene in 1980, I was like, who the hell is this guy? And then I ended up wrestling him off for the junior world team, and he beat me, and he beat me bad, and he beat me with conditioning. I was a 163 pounder, and he was a 180 pounder, and Coach Wick just uh, want he just decided Dave was going to be the junior world team 63 pounder, and I was going to be the 80 pounder.
So you're
And
talking about Bill Wick, just so everybody understands.
yeah, what did I say?
You said Coach Wick?
Yeah, Coach. That's right, Bill Wick.
Bill Wick, yeah.
Yes.
Legendary coach.
Oh, awesome, awesome.
He was my high school wrestling coach.
Get out.
Yeah.
Oh man, he is my favorite coach of any coach. He was in my corner. The match that I had to pin, caution out, or shut out the defending world champion just to get to the finals of the world championships in 1987, and I shut him out 1-0. It was Wick in my corner.
Legendary guy.
Yeah.
So Banach, you go up, you're losing 4-2 based on a toss that doesn't go your way. Like you went right after him. Completely the opposite of what most people do that have got a couple losses against a guy. Like you put it on him, especially somebody known for their cardio.
Yeah, I was not known for my cardio. As a matter of fact, they tested me on this treadmill with one of the gas analyzers, and they plug your nose, and then they give you one instruction: run till you can't run anymore. It's a really fun test. And what they do is they just keep cranking up the incline until you can't run anymore, and you just try to go as hard as you can, as far as you can. And they found out that my max VO2, the maximum volume of oxygen your body consumes in milliliters of oxygen per kilogram body weight per minute exercise, was the lowest ever tested by any Olympic or world champion ever. And it's like there's this list of guys,
What?
and then there's like the second lowest guy, and there's like 50 feet of shit, and then there's me. Anyway, I was a very good sprinter, and Banach was a very good long distance runner. And I tried for years to minimize my lack of conditioning, long distance running conditioning, by doing a ton of long distance running. If you would have added up all the miles I've ran, I probably ran around the earth at least one time. And I just tried to but then after that, like, it was like almost in the middle of that match, I decided, you know what, the conditioning thing isn't working. I need to forget about minimizing my weaknesses. I need to maximize my strengths. And so that's what I did.
That's really smart. That's actually really, really smart. So you're on top in a referee's position. Ed escapes, and both of you guys feel comfortable going chest to chest. You hit a 4-point throw to end the period, and the first period ends 6-5.
Yeah.
It's a fist fight. Like, this is a fist fight.
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of emotion behind that match, and I'm sure on both of our sides. I mean, I just could not lose one more time to that guy. It was just killing me. Anyway, thank God it turned out the way it did. But yeah, I was so lucky, to when I tried that inside trip, I fell right on my back, gave up 4 points, and then
You're lucky you didn't get pinned.
I know.
You gave it to him. Like you were literally in the worst position possible.
I
At
know.
the moment, a cardio monster is at his strongest.
Not only is he a cardio monster, he's a pinning machine. He has the record at Iowa. He's pinned 70% of his opponents. I mean, who does that?
I wonder if he had an adrenaline dump after this, because in the first 10 seconds of a match, you think this is over? He might have had an adrenaline dump.
Yeah, it's possible because he looked kind of sluggish after that.
Bro, it was a fist fight. Like you can call it wrestling, but that was a fight. Like you took somebody that was an incredible wrestler that you didn't have a high degree of success against, and then you changed it up. Okay, well, we're going to fist fight now. We're going to call it wrestling, but it's going to be a fist fight. That's what that was.
That was like, I think the first time that I turned a match into more of a street fight.
It's a street fight. It's brilliant. Anybody at home, please go watch this. I sent it to the group where we do our research. Every single one of them is going, "Oh my God. Oh."
It's a very entertaining match. You know, it was voted by the NCAA as the most entertaining match in NCAA history.
Go watch that. Anybody that says wrestling is boring, go watch that match. Go watch it.
Funny. I get people, there's a lot of comments below that video on that page, and a lot of people are like, hey, wrestling was different back then. It was more Greco-Roman and stuff. And I'm like, no, it's not different.
It's a fist fight.
Me and him were different.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So you guys, in this second period, you start on bottom in a referee's position. You escape and get a takedown. You got 7 consecutive points. But if you listen to the color commentators, they're still not believing that Ed is going to lose.
Yeah, I know. And Mark Lieberman, he was the commentator. And you know what was really weird about that match was Mark Lieberman was saying things about us that I don't know how he would have known any of the things. Like he's talking about our Greco-Roman backgrounds. I've never wrestled Greco-Roman in front of him before. He's never been to a Greco World training camp with me or anything. How does he know that we've got this Greco background? And it was weird. That was one of the, and he would say things, and then like later on in the match, it would happen. That was another weird thing. It was hard to explain what this felt like. It was almost like it was predestined, or it was part of a script or something. I never experienced that in a match before. It was a spiritual thing, and you know, I was so God. I don't want to say anything bad about Ed, because you know you got to respect these people that are great in the thing that you do, because if you don't, then you're not respecting the very thing you're doing.
You got 2 future gold medalists in the finals.
Yeah. That match is that was voted the that was voted the Banach in the book, the golden age of amateur wrestling, the 1980s. They do a poll in there where they voted me as the best wrestler of the 80s. Well, the second best wrestler of the 80s was Ed Banach. I mean, what are the chances the same weight in the same year would meet in the finals?
See, but you did something different than and there's not a lot of film back then, and this is me assuming.
That's the first time a full-length match was shown on ABC Wide World of Sports. Until then, videotape didn't exist. This is the first time I was able to capture anything on video, was that match, because it was the full match.
I think Ed experienced something that he had never had previous to this, and he was getting bullied. But that's that street fight mentality that you brought into it. Like, he got bullied. He'd never been bullied before.
Yeah, just at some point you gotta just, my life's not worth living this way. I'm gonna have to sacrifice it because there's no other way. So you just do it. And just you don't really have a choice. If you're miserable, you can't live your life that way. You just anyway. I could get into some other stuff that'll probably get me in trouble, but I don't want to say anything bad about Banach. Him and I. We share. We're the first Olympic champions in 51 years to win 3 NCAA titles. The year that okay, so we're wrestling. I take him down. He reverses me. He escapes. Now it's 5-2, and I catch him with a throw I'd never done before. I just saw Ben Peterson do it to the Russian in the World Cup. So I thought, I'm going to go for it. And I went for it, and it worked. It was a miracle.
Okay. All right. So you've never done a move before, including practice. Well, let's do it in the finals. Like, it's that mentality. It's just
and let's do it against Karabacak.
Yeah, get 2-time national champion.
Yeah. So that's what I don't know why that happened to me, but it did. And anyway, after that match, Banach comes up to me. He goes, "What weight are you going next year?" I said, 77. He goes, "I'm going 90." And Abel was standing right next to me, my coach. He starts busting out laughing. I'm like, "What's so funny?" It's like, "Nothing, no."
It had been good for Stan too, especially dealing with all that stuff.
Yeah, I didn't realize how good Stan was in college. He was a 2-time NCAA champion. He was 1 vote away from being voted the outstanding wrestler that year, 1960. And the guy that won it was Dave Abel, my college freshman coach at UCLA. So, isn't that weird?
That is wild. Well, if you could Stan Abel, Dan Gable, like, it's your Olympic coach. It's like,
there's Dave Abel.
Yeah. So you score 7 consecutive points. You go up 9-5. You go for a tilt and get reversed. And the period ends 10-7 with heavy riding time advantage going towards yourself.
Yeah. So I knew he had to. I was just waiting for. I could have wrote him out, but I thought that's going to be a really boring way to end one of the most exciting matches. I'm going to let him up, and so I let him roll me through, and he got an escape. And now we're both on our feet. And instead of going to the edge and playing it safe, I lock up with him and back up to the middle of the mat and just wait for him to throw. Because I know he's got to throw.
He had to.
And so I'm waiting for him to do that. And then my counter, of course, is to just turn limp like a wet spaghetti and just block him off. And that's what happened. That's what he did. That's what I did. And I got 5 points at the end for that.
I would say, to his credit, I think 95% of the locker room, realizing that they lost the match, would just have quit and let you pin him. Ed couldn't do it. And being on his back is something that I don't think he experienced that entire year.
He had never experienced that up until this point. Until he met me. I think I might have put him on his back in the duel. I could be wrong. Wait a minute. I gotta shut this thing up. Hey, Alexa, shut up. That's how I talk to my robot.
Other than yourself, he'd never experienced that. He'd never been on his back. He hadn't, but he didn't quit. Like, he fought until the very last second. I respect that.
I do too. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. It's just when you compete against somebody so many times, you start to get like angry that they beat you. So, I mean, he beat me 4 times, And so going up that last time against him, it was really kind of like getting my happiness back or like getting some relief from all the losses to him because I just, I just, I I felt I like nobody should beat me, but he did, and I just couldn't figure it out. But and I tried to do everything I could to minimize that weakness in my max VO2, but I couldn't do it. I didn't realize that you cannot increase your max VO2 more than 8 point, about 8 points. And so you're just born with it. You just live with it. There's nothing you can do about it. So that's why the Olympic sprinters and Olympic long distance runners they're born that way. They're not they can train, but they can't turn themselves from a sprinter into a long distance runner. It's impossible.
Yeah. All I can tell you is this. The real small guys are really good at running long distances because they need to run away from danger. Guys like you need to sprint to run towards danger.
or not run at all.
No, not right. Or towards in. Yes, we want in. So like you know what I mean? It's like I see bigger guys doing cross country. I'm like, you should be in a wrestling room.
I think Socrates said the greatest marathoner is equal to the average wrestler. I think that's what
I agree with that.
I think, yeah, Socrates.
So you're voted college wrestler of the decade by your peers.
Yes. Yeah, that was quite an honor. I mean, I didn't even know Roger.
Quite an honor. The honor. The honor.
You know who Roger Frizzell is?
You talking about the journalist?
No, he was the co-captain with me at Oklahoma my senior year, and he was a 3-time bronze medalist and a 1-time 4th place finisher. So he's 4 times in the top 4. The problem was he had Kenny Monday and Nate Carr in his weight class, so he could never break into the finals because of those guys. And so him and me, we what the heck was I just gonna say?
Fizzell.
Yeah, I was gonna tell you something about
top
him.
4 peers voted by your peers.
Oh yeah. He called me up one day. He goes, "Mark, there's a new book out," and he hadn't talked to me for years. And then he goes, "Mark, there's a new book out. You really need to get it." And so I order it, I get it, I read it, and I discover that I was voted Wrestler of the Decade. I really appreciated Roger because Roger, he was so good. He just couldn't break that semifinal barrier.
You're talking gold medal winners. I mean, like, he couldn't be an Olympic gold medalist. I mean, there's only one. There's only one.
You pussy.
There's only one. That's it.
Yeah. That's right. He's just Roger is the nicest guy I think I've ever met in my life. He's just such a nice guy, and I just hated to see him lose. He was fun. It's fun. In our dorm room, I had a picture of I don't know what. She was a really hot, like Charlie's Angel chick poster on my wall. Roger had posters of food on his wall. He was cutting too much weight.
Everything that you guys couldn't have is on the wall, essentially.
Okay. Why are you torturing yourself? It makes no sense. Maybe it's mental toughness. I don't know.
So you're voted College Wrestler of the Decade by your peers. And on August 10th, 1984, you've got the Olympic tryouts.
Yes, that's against Don Shuler. And Don Shuler was extremely tough. Matter of fact, I just reconnected with him recently through his son. And God, I can't believe how old I am. But anyway, Don was a freaking as tough as nails, and he beat me. Well, I beat him in the nationals to qualify for the trials, and then he beat me in the trials one match, and I beat him 2 out of 3. I beat him 7-2. He beat me 7-2, and I beat him 4-2. That's how I made the Olympic team.
Well, part of that is you've got a big rival, Chris Rinke, who went and lived with your old coach for a couple years, and he had your old coach in his corner, and he literally spent 2 years of his life with the sole intent of getting past you. You lived in his head for 2 years.
I know it's funny because me and Rinke we're still friends to this day, and you talk about pure luck. I don't think I've ever been so lucky in my life as I was when I won that match against Rinke in the third match of the Olympics. That was the most pressure-packed, important, critical, closest match.
In front of nobody. Literally in front of your peers. That's it.
Yeah. Now, this is at the Olympics.
Oh, at the actual Olympics? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was the tryouts. I thought you guys were doing the tryouts.
No,
I know you guys were at the
Rinke
Pan
is
Ams.
not an American.
Okay. I know you guys wrestled at the Pan Ams.
That's right. He beat me at the Pan Ams. You can only wrestle Americans at the Olympic trials to make the U.S. Olympic team. But at the Olympics, the thing that made Chris, well, my college coach, Jim Humphrey, left my senior year to become the Canadian Canadian national coach. And so Chris moves onto his property, and they trained together for 2 years, trying to figure out how to beat me, I guess. I mean, nobody knew me better than Jim Humphrey. And having Jim in his corner was like the ultimate nuclear bomb, threat for me. And so after the first period of the Olympics, he's beating me 2-2 criteria tiebreaker. So I shoot start of the period, start of the final period. I take him down with a high crotch, and then I gut wrench him. And the referee gives me 2 for gives me 1 for the takedown and 2 for the gut wrench. But the mat judges now, and as soon as he called that, he goes 1, and he goes 2, and so I'm thinking I'm ahead 5-2.
Yeah,
and then I look over at the scoreboard, and it says 4-2. And I'm like, what happened to my see? But when I got the 2-pointer, when I gut wrenched him, that gave me a 2-pointer. And in a tiebreaker criteria, if you have a 2-pointer and the other guy has only 1-pointers, you win the tiebreaker criteria. But if you've got all 1-pointers, then whoever scores the last 1-pointer wins the criteria tiebreaker. So I take him down, gut wrench him. The ref gives me 1 for the takedown, 2 for the gut wrench. The mat judges give me 1 for the takedown and 1 for the gut wrench. So the actual score is 4-2, not 5-2. And so I'm looking at the scoreboard trying to figure out how did I lose that point. But when I got the takedown and the gut wrench, it gave me a 5-2 lead. And in my head, I'm thinking, I can give up 3 takedowns and still win the tiebreaker criteria. But then I looked at the scoreboard and it's 4-2. And now instead of me thinking I can give away 3 takedowns, I'm thinking I can only give away 2. But that's not true. I could only give away 1. And while I'm doing this math in my head, while I'm wrestling, Mickey scores again. And now I'm thinking to myself, I can only give away one more takedown and still win. But that wasn't true. If he would have got the takedown, he would have won. So the referees, they hate my guts because I broke the Turk's arm and they're screaming at me, Passy Rouge, Passy Rouge. That's Stalin red. It's international language is French. And I know they're going to throw me out if I don't shoot. So I didn't even set it up. I just threw myself in there and I was going to let him take me down, kill the clock, and win the tiebreaker criteria. I shoot in there. He just happened to grab me in a front body lock, and I just happened to have this unstoppable counter to a front body lock. So instead of playing it safe and giving away a point, I decided to attack. And I attacked and I took him down. I won 5-3 that way. But if I would have given, and then after the match, after the tournament was over, they give you the bracket sheet to take home. And so I take that bracket sheet home, put it on my wall. About a year later, I'm looking at it and I realized that if I would have given that point away, I would have lost the tiebreaker criteria and the gold medal, and my life would have been ruined. And it was so weird coming to that realization all by myself in my office. It was so weird. I was just weird.
That guy spent 2 years with a picture of you on his wall, essentially.
It's
Did you go when he shook his coach's hand, Jim Humphrey's hand? Anything said between you two?
Nah, I don't think so. I felt a little bit betrayed, but wrestling is such a poor man's sport. Would do anything to get a payday. So, who I can't blame him for
taking hold it against him. You can't hold it against him.
No.
Hey, I don't mean to kind of go down a different path here, but Canada has never had a gold medal winner in wrestling, like in the last 20, 25 years, that they haven't imported from somewhere else.
That's right. Yeah.
They've also never won an ADCC gold medal. This was their chance.
Well, Chris Rinke was their best candidate because he is the toughest Canadian I've ever put my hands on.
Also polite. The Canadians are also polite. Like they really are. They're such nice, educated people. They really are.
You want to hear something really weird? When the movie came out and they had all these film festivals all over the world. Well, one of them was in Vancouver, and one of the co-hosts of that film festival was Chris Rinke. And so they called me up right before they start the movie, and they go, "Hey, Mark, we got Chris Rinke here. What do you think of him?" And I'm talking about how tough he was and how I was, it was such a close match, and it's all this pressure and critical match and everything. And then at the end of me telling him all this stuff, Chris goes, "Oh yeah, and by the way, Mark, you and I were born on the exact same day." I couldn't.
That's how well he knows you. That's how well he knows you. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that plane ride home to Canada for him? Oh my God!
I said to Chris, "So what time of the day were you born?" He's like, "Around noon." I said, "Well, I was born at 7:30 a.m. So I came out a little before you, and then I finished in the Olympics a little before you. The way it should have always been, No, I didn't say that.
That little time of development is what helps guide you to your victory. Yeah, that little. Yeah. So in 1984, the Olympic 82 kilogram gold medal run. Opening match was a controversial. Loss. Wait, hold up. Opening match was a controversial. Yeah, it was a controversial loss to EU Turkish wrestler. I'm sorry, dude. Hold up.
Reşit Karabacak.
Holy fuck, dude. let me get my foundation. Sometimes I kind of spell check changes things on my paper that I did not write. This is one of those instances. I'm like, what the fuck?
I can correct that if you want.
Yes. Resit Karabacak. You hit him with the
Karabacak.
Okay, there we go. You hit him with the Kimura, as you had described earlier. When you got disqualified, did you think it was over for you? Or did you know you still had a path to gold through the wrestlebacks?
Well, the fact that I had another match that day against the New Zealander let me know that they can't really kick me out of the tournament now. They've let me wrestle one more match because there's a rule that covers all sports, and any judgment call by a referee on the field of play cannot be reversed after the fact because it changes. When a judgment call is made, it changes the entire game, the entire circumstances and everything. So you can't go back and change a judgment call. And so by them letting me wrestle against the New Zealander, the match after the Turk, they couldn't really kick me out after that, even though the Turks came back 8 hours later. You're supposed to protest a half hour within the match, but they were busy at the hospital getting his elbow fixed, so they had to come. They didn't come back till 8 hours later, and then they filed the protest then. And I think
the tournament progressed. It's already too far progressed. Yeah, I mean,
right. They missed their chance, so I think that's why they let me stay in the tournament.
Even if they did win the protest, he's still got a broken arm. Like he's done.
Actually, they did win the protest. They gave the match to him, but they didn't kick me out of the whole tournament. That's so I won the protest, but I won the war. He won the battle.
Okay. So
I don't have any disrespect for him. Matter of fact, he died of COVID.
Did he really? Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks. Did you like getting booed by the audience? Did that bother you at all?
I never heard anybody boo. Matter of fact, I don't hear people cheer me either. I can hear Dave's voice, cut his way through the noise, but I never really paid attention to the crowds. They didn't really exist for me.
Okay, you come off the mat, you break the guy's arm after a pin. What's Dave say to you right after that? What's his?
He's like, give me 5, and that was it.
We did it.
That's it. Yeah, it was the coincidence of Dave being sending the Yugoslavian to the hospital, the match before I sent the Turk to the hospital was such a strange coincidence. It made the referees look at us like we were dirty wrestlers. That's why they assigned Mario Soletnik to watch us the rest of the tournament.
So after an exchange in positioning, as we had talked about earlier, Resit, he gets in deep on a single. And I know Mark Schultz. Mark Schultz does not fight it as hard as he can. It's like you transition to that Kimura, as you had described earlier. You have an ability to not be tentative, to use things that you've never even tried in practice in high pressure situations. And I think that's what separated you. You were impossible to scout.
I had an ability to just do things that nobody else could do because of my gymnastics. Even though I had never done that move before in competition or in practice, I've done it a lot with the head inside. And I can imagine, and I've seen it done by that Cuban, so I know how it's supposed to look. I know how that moves. So I didn't really. I know it if you look at that match with Banach, the move that I threw Banach with to get back in the match, I had never done that move before in my life. This move, I had never done it before in my life. Both of them worked. It's like a miracle or something.
You see, but I think that's what made you impossible to scout. I mean,
Yeah.
even if they got one of your teammates, all right, we got his teammate. He's going to give us all the information. Well, when did you see Mark do that? Never.
You know, I kept a lot of secrets, right? And I kept this one secret that was so secret. I didn't even know I did it as much as I did until I saw myself on videotape when I made that Total Violence video, the music video, the first wrestling music video. When I made that, I was like, man, I should do a lot of arm drags. And I had never realized how much I used the arm drag until I made that video. That's how secret that move was, even to me.
You didn't even tell yourself.
I was hiding it from myself. I didn't want anybody to know,
including me. um, I'll tell you, like it made it incredibly difficult to scout you. And walking into the gold medal match, against Hideyuki Nagashima from Japan, the United States team had lost two gold medal matches prior, and yeah, the team needed kind of a little push.
Yeah, thank God. He, I was done with all the toughest guys in the tournament because they were on my side of the bracket. When I got to Nagashima, I knew I was going to beat him. I mean, I didn't know how bad, but I figured it wouldn't be that hard. I, yeah, compared to the guys that I had been going up against, like Rinke and Karabacak.
Hmm.
But I don't want to disrespect him. I love the Japanese people. Nagashima, he deserves credit. He got to the finals. That's a hell of an accomplishment to get to the Olympic finals. I remember one time, was it Miguel? Well, he said that I was shitting on silver medals, and when he goes, and he made fun of Nagashima, and he's after I did that headbutt, he goes, "Oh, silver's good," and I said, "Oh yeah, for them, not for me," and then I don't know if I said this at the time, but I only have three silver medals. I've only won three silver medals in my entire life, and one is in a garbage can outside the Midlands Arena. One's in the Ottawa River outside the World Cup arena, and one's on top of Gallagher Hall after the Big Eight championships.
Can you imagine doing like the roofing job there and just going,
That's what I was.
the fuck is this? Yeah, you gotta look up at the sky. This fell from there.
Well, they did remodel it. I wonder if they found it.
100%. So Pedro Sauer, somebody that you connect with later, has publicly said on more than one occasion that at some point, Mark has got to share his secrets. Like you're very guarded because at any point, at any time, you might have to have some sort of battle against somebody. You don't want them to know your secrets.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was just so painful going through all of the moves that I could, think of or invent, or all the. I mean, you're drilling these moves. You're trying them in competition. It's trial and error, and there's thousands of them. If you can just find one or two that works against everybody in the world, I don't think anybody would
Sure.
share that information.
Well, Heidi Yuki, when the match started, there's a clash of heads, which you've already got a third, fourth, and fifth person trying to catch you doing something dirty. Um, was there any trash talk from the people on the side, like the officials, in regards to your behavior after that? I mean, it was just clearly an accident, but you were coming regardless. You know, if his head's in the way, it's getting clipped. If not, he's getting taken down.
Well, there was the Sports Illustrated article focused primarily on me and Dave, and they talked about everybody, but it started off with me, and then it went to Dave, and then it went to the other guys. And after that match with the Turk, Gable was being interviewed by I think USA Today, and they're asking him what he thought about me getting disqualified. And he's like, it's a man's sport. What are you going to do? That would probably get him canceled in today's culture. But back then, he was like, yeah, this is a man's sport. And I always respected Gable. He's worked his ass off.
Well, Gable was a rival in high school in terms of coaching. I mean, he saw you.
You mean in college?
Or college. I apologize, in college. So in college, he's on a different team, and now all of a sudden he's your coach.
Yeah, it's weird. Wrestling's weird.
Was there a little bit of animus on his end towards you when you guys first met, or was he happy to see you?
Well, there was
he had to have something, like gritting his teeth saying hello. There had to have been something there.
There was. Gable, I did not feel that Gable was on my side during the training camp when I invited my girlfriend to come stay with me. Everybody's bringing their wives to training camp, and there was a girl that I was planning to marry that I wanted to bring to the training camp. So I did, and there was this huge stink by the wives that I was bringing this girl to training camp to be with me. And I'm thinking, why do they even care? I mean, this is my life. This is the Olympics. The women, the wives have nothing to do with the competition, and yet they're going to start affecting the competition by decisions they're making, one of which was to kick my girlfriend out of that training camp. And I expected Gable to stand up for me. But what happened was USA Wrestling called a meeting of everybody in the camp, the referees, the wives, the wrestlers, the administrators, everybody that was in the camp was in that meeting. And they said, okay, Mark, this is what it's going to come down to. Your girlfriend can stay if she's married to you, and if she's not, she's got to leave. And this whole issue was brought before Dan Gable by Linda Baumgartner, Bruce Baumgartner's wife. And I looked right at Linda and I said, we're married. And Gable goes, okay, that's the end of this meeting. And that was the end of it. And so I think Gable supported me at that point. And, if you look at the way Gable acts towards me at the end of the Olympics, I come off the mat and I've got Bobby Douglas and Stan Abel on both sides. And then the Hellickson wants to bring me over to this place for an interview, and Gable comes behind me, puts his arm around me, and he's walking with me over to see Hellickson. And I kind of felt a little uncomfortable with him doing that because he had never done that at any other time during that camp. And it made me feel like he was actually kind of against me during the wife, rebellion, whatever you want to call it. and but I always had respect for Gable. I think Gable is a guy that respects anybody that he thinks is tough. And I don't think my school affiliation mattered to him that
Okay.
much, as much as, how tough I was now if I was going to win for his team in the Olympics.
How was he as a teacher, as a coach?
He is really good. He's really intense, he doesn't teach technique very good, but he pushes you to death. He's just like, all right, we're gonna do, arm curls for 20 minutes. Okay. He's like, okay, last one, guys, we're going really hard. We're gonna go really hard for 5 minutes, get a really heavy weight. So you go really hard for 5 minutes, and then at the end he's like, okay, now we're gonna go for another 2 hours on this weight. I'm like, what? Anyway, so I don't. He would do that a lot when he was training us. He would lie to us about when the end of practice was, and it would just never end. But I liked him. I liked how tough he was. I liked the fact that he was working out with us. I mean, he's an old man. He's working out with us. He's just, he's doing everything we're doing. I got to respect him for that.
So you win. You hit a flawless single leg, and you win a gold medal. You won 13-0 in under 2 minutes. And
in the final against
in the finals, yeah.
It's not a real good reflection of the quality of the competition because of how overloaded my side of the bracket was. But yeah, I beat him 13-0 in a minute 59. And then I did a backflip. I had to do another backflip because the first one wasn't very good. I had to pay homage to my gymnastics background and to kind of rub it in.
Was there any commentary from the people that were following you around, making sure you didn't break any rules? Was there any meeting of the minds afterward, or was it you guys just went different ways?
Yeah, we kind of got like whisked away to this 3-city tour that they wanted to bring all the medalists on, and we went to meet President Reagan at the Hollywood Hilton. And what's weird is when I was in Oklahoma, we had this 118-pounder named Bobby DeProspero. Well, Bobby's dad, Robert DeProspero Sr., he was the head of the entire Secret Service. And so every time you see the president, you'd see Mr. DeProspero standing
Holy
right next
cow.
to the president. So we go to the Hollywood Hilton.
Wow.
And he came to Oklahoma to visit his son, and he also came to talk to us because wrestlers make really good Secret Service agents. So he was recruiting also. So we met him. We talked to him, asked him, how hard is it to get in? And we're talking to him like we're going to go be a Secret Service agent.
Yeah, we got you. Yeah, you got us, right? Yeah, we're good.
So we're standing in the line of medalists. I'd say we're about 3/4 of the way back of the line. And me and Dave are just standing there. And Bobby DeProspero's dad is standing right next to Reagan. And he sees me and Dave in the back of the line. And he yells. He goes, "Hey, Mark, Dave, come on up here." So we walk up through the velvet ropes. And I think I was the first guy to meet the president. And then I went down to give Nancy a kiss on the cheek, and she turned and kissed me right on the lips. And then I said I'd vote for him because I didn't know what else to say, but I think I did vote for him. Anyway, I liked him. He was cool. He's from California like me, so
Yeah.
So
shortly after your gold medal, a name that does not get mentioned, contacts you about moving into the Foxcatcher Ranch and starting a team. It started with you out of everybody.
It started with Dave. He wanted Dave to come there and be the coach. Dave had already committed to Stanford because when I got back from the 85 Worlds, now I'm the only Olympic champion, the 84 Olympic champion to win the 85 Worlds. So I get back to Stanford. The day I get back, the coach of Stanford fires me. Can you believe that?
Well,
forget the reason why. I don't even know why. But he fired me and he said he can't afford to pay me. This is a bunch of bullshit lies. Because he took my salary away.
He was worried
to my brother.
He was worried about you taking the spot. Okay. So he gave it to your brother?
Yeah, he took my salary away, gave it to my brother, and he took my vehicle away because I was coaching this kid named Brad Hightower. And Brad's dad, Vern Hightower, owns Hightower Toyota in LA. And he wanted to thank me for helping Brad. So he gave me this Toyota Tercel to drive around because I didn't have a vehicle. So, but he couldn't get the tax write-off by donating it to me. So he donates it to Stanford Wrestling. So legally, it's not mine. So when he fires me and takes my salary away, he also takes my vehicle away and gives it to my brother. And my brother, who has already got a vehicle, gives it to his wife. And we're living in the same house. It was weird. One day, that's my car. The next day, that's her car. And anyway, it was really, I don't know. Then I think Dave felt bad that what Chris did to me by firing me from Stanford, because I grew up in Stanford. I was born in Stanford Hospital. I lived a half a block away from Stanford. I went to school across the street from Stanford. I even coached at Stanford. My grandparents were both Stanford professors. My parents both went to Stanford. That's where they met. So my entire life was around Stanford. And this motherfucker kicks me out. You know, I shouldn't get so angry, but it just, ugh.
Do you think did this drive a wedge between you and Dave?
Yeah, it kind of did. And me and Dave, nothing is gonna break us apart. We're brothers for life. But by firing me after I won the Worlds, it created it cut a cord. I no longer depended on Dave to protect my interests anymore. I felt kind of backstabbed. However, I wasn't going to let that impair my improvement. And so after that day, I got really hard-nosed with Dave in practice, every practice after that. And one of the things I did was I attacked his groin. And it wasn't like I'm trying to grab it and squeeze it or anything. What I did was I locked my hands underneath the groin, and I realized that the position of my hands are directly underneath the center of gravity. So when I jerked him up like that, not only did it hurt because your genitals are so sensitive, but because it was the center of gravity, he just shot straight up. It was so much easier to lift him. And I got to where, I swear to God, I was taking him down at will after I learned that. And I mean, after I started doing that for a while, Horpel, the guy that fired me, he was looking at me like, what the heck's going on with this guy now? Because Dave was usually, pretty close to me in practice, but I passed him like after that. And then I went to Villanova, and things got worse and worse, and then everything went to hell.
So the one argument that I like to make is that, and listen, please, anybody listening, as well as yourself, do not take offense to what I'm about to say. And this is just coming from a place of respect and somebody from a couch watching matches. While your brother was firmly established as an international name as a junior and senior in high school, is when you first started. You're still learning how to wrestle while becoming a national champion. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Your first national title, you were still developing. You could wrestle, obviously, but you were still learning.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
Yeah, I had a long way to go.
so while your brother had all of the resume and accolades at a very early age, if you look at each of your peak, oftentimes you guys, the rankings, it's like your brother and then yourself right underneath you, and they don't ever split that up. I oftentimes tell people it should be kind of flipped. Like if you, are we talking resume or are we talking peak? Because those top pound for pound lists, there's a difference between those two things. And I always accredit you as being the better wrestler between two incredibly respected athletes.
Well, yeah, people. This is why me and Dave played this game with the media, like saying, well, Mark's like this mindless Neanderthal, and Dave's like this Yoda-like switchblade, something. It just would create these images that really have nothing to do with reality, but they make a good story. So we go ahead and throw it out. What do we care? So we just throw out stuff like that. You're probably the only guy I've been honest about that. And so, yeah, yeah.
At your peak, you were better than him. And listen, we're talking the best of the best all-stars on the all-star team. So there's
Not that many guys.
no, you're talking, no, like the dirty dozen, like the top dozen, you guys certainly,
Yeah. Yeah,
you're both
I
on the
don't,
list.
huh?
I mean, and to even make that list is you're you're the one percenters of the 1%.
Yeah. I I uh you know, I I can't um I can't really talk about comparing myself to Dave in a couple for a couple reasons. You know, you ever heard that saying you can't compare eras because everybody's living in a different situation,
Yeah,
different
yeah.
financial situation, different, you know, family situation, everything's different. Well, that's Dave was born with dyslexia, and I wasn't. I was born with a low max VO2. Dave wasn't. So our situations are a little bit different. So I don't look for weaknesses in Dave or strengths, that would put me above Dave. I don't think like that. And you can think like that, and I don't even care. It's fine. But he's my brother, so
Yeah, and you know what I mean, especially how things all panned out afterward.
yeah, exactly.
You know, at Foxcatcher, you were only there for. Were you there? Did you make it an entire year, or did you leave prior?
Well, I went to Villanova for, and I lasted until this is so ridiculous. The way this program was run was like Keystone Cops. It was just insane. The number of people that were hired and fired off a whim by DuPont. And I think I lasted at Villanova a little bit more than a year. and then I was fired. And then
Can you bring us through that process about how you get fired? Yeah. I mean, do they sit you down or do they just call you on the phone?
Well, it was a weird thing. Metzger had something to do with it.
Okay, Andre. Okay.
I found out about it when I had come back from some trip and everybody on the team was gone, and I didn't know where they went. And then I find out Rob Callabrese, one of the assistant coaches, he calls me. They're all in Puerto Rico. They're having some, like sun and fun, wrestling trip down there. And they're wrestling the Puerto Ricans. And the fact that they didn't tell me about it was all I needed to know as far as whether I'm still part of the program or not. And then I thought, if I could just get enough money to survive through the Olympics, I don't care if I'm at Villanova or not. I just want to survive financially. So I called up du Pont and I asked him, if he still wants me to wrestle for Team Foxcatcher, and he did, but he said you have to move onto the Foxcatcher Farms estate, and I didn't really get that. I didn't like why. What's the purpose of that? But that's what he said. So I thought, well, if that's what I got to do to keep getting paid, and that's what I'm going to do. So I moved on to the farm and, brought a couple other guys with me, Dan Shade, Rob Callabrese. They were all on the farm at the time. And I stayed there for about, I'd say, oh man, I'd say 9 months maybe. And then the Olympics, I lost in the Olympics and I left immediately after that.
Okay. So was Jim Humphrey, Greg Strobel, or Gene Davis at Foxcatcher while you were there?
No, not while I was there. Nobody was there when I was there.
Yeah, you were like that first wave.
I was the first guy, and I had no facilities, no workout partners. No, it was the worst training environment imaginable. And
Okay, so obviously Jordanov wasn't there. Was Chris Campbell there?
No.
Ray Brinzer, Kenny Monday, Kevin Jackson, any of those three?
No. The only people that were there was me, Dan Shade, Andre Metzger, Rob Callabrese, Bill Hyman, Glenn Goodman, and that was it.
So there was no coaches. It was just wrestlers working out with each other.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So Robbie Callabrese was also on the radar of the owner. And I think he was on the short list that your brother also happened to wind up on. He was being accused of owning building a wind tunnel and screwing with the trees. And
are you saying Callabrese is being accused of that?
He was by the guy that we will not name.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. He was going crazy. He thought the clocks were going back and were turning back time. They thought there was wrestlers hiding in the walls of his mansion.
So you saw the document. You didn't participate in the documentary.
No, it was the documentary time period was when Dave got there, until the murder, and I had been gone for about 2 years after that, before he got there.
Were you approached by the documentary people?
Yeah, the director was John Greenhall. He's the son of Sonny Greenhall, who's a New York Athletic Club a wrestling coach, club coach. And he wanted me in the documentary really bad, but I had already sold my film rights to Annapurna to make the movie, and then I sold my literary rights to Penguin to write the book. So I I couldn't really participate. It yeah. It wasn't. I didn't own a story anymore.
But you watched it. I'm assuming.
I watched it. Yeah.
The one thing that really, the one thing that, like, if I was sitting across from somebody that I don't think I'd be real kind to with my line of questioning is the head of security. When he's like, well, there's voices in the wall, and rather than going, yeah, there's no voices in the wall, no, we're going to go hire a company, we're going to get this metric and that metric to kind of go into the walls to see. It's like, no, you fed into it to line your pocket.
That's right.
That's what you did. That's, you elevated. And if he's willing to hire a third party to come into the walls, really look around, because there might be wrestlers hiding in here. So in order to keep your job or hire your buddies, are you also turning the volume up on some of the wrestlers that he might need to be worried about? Because you're not doing one and not the other. You're probably doing both.
That's right.
I don't want to say the guy's name because I don't want any lawsuits, because he made a lot of money working for the scumbag murderer. He made a lot of money, more money than I'll ever see. But you're not going to pretend that you weren't doing that as well. Some of the wrestlers that got kicked out of there, I have no doubt the volume was being turned up by his security. Anybody questioning his authority. So in other words, you had to, the murderer, you really had to like walk a tightrope around and really kind of finagle and be cool because he's so psychotic, but you need his money. But then you got the head of security that's also being duplicitous.
Yeah, and he was real cocky when he was head of security. He's bossing people around, and he's just acting like he's a military guy, and he's not. And
what a scumbag! I'll say it. He's a scumbag.
Yeah, he is in a way, but in a way, I feel sorry for him because
his life is so pathetic that he needs to manipulate a guy that's clearly hearing voices, and rather than kind of getting the guy the help he needs, he's kind of looking at his bank account and his buddies. You feel sorry for that guy?
No.
That's what happened, Mark. Mark, that's what happened. I don't give a shit. That's the one story nobody's talking about. What a piece of shit his security was.
Okay. Well, I was going to tell you why I felt sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sounds stupid. Okay. So he was in the car with...
Of course. Yeah.
And after the guns started firing, he bailed and hid behind a tank, a metal canister, a metal barrel. And so some of the people were blaming him for
accurately
taking a role in the murder, and I kind of felt sorry for him because he didn't know what was going to happen when they pulled up that day. The fact that du Pont just grabbed his gun and put it out the window and killed Dave with the gun. I mean, there's no way Pat Goodale would know that was going to happen. And when du Pont did that, well, Goodale's got a gun. He could have shot du Pont right then and there. But then there's another legal complication. But if he bails out of the truck, out of the car, and hides behind a metal barrel, he's getting away from the situation without having to contribute anything to the situation. He was a witness that we needed during the trial.
You didn't need him as a witness. Everybody knew what happened. You didn't need him as a witness. I understand that. That's kind of nice little legalese. Yeah. But he definitely was tuning. He was definitely turning the volume up on somebody that was having issues with reality. That's a fact.
Yeah, that is a fact.
Fuck him. I'll say it. Fuck him. I hope he's listening to this. Fuck him. Yeah, it's like, why be nice about it? There's no reason to. You're a piece of shit. And you know what? He's got to answer for that. One day he's going to answer for that.
I think he has answered for it, to tell you the truth. I mean, you should have seen how subdued he acted during the trial.
He's got no choice. He played a part in it.
Yeah. He was trying to do everything he could to help us out and get a conviction.
Too late. You didn't need it. You didn't need his help. You didn't need his help. You didn't need it. I don't listen. Mark, you're being a real nice guy here. You didn't need his help for anything. What he did, and he got put where he was supposed to be. And that guy, you like when you get into a car accident, they'll say, well, even though you were at a red light and you got rear-ended, it's 90% their fault, 10% your fault.
Yeah, right.
I'm not going to give a percentage on that.
Yeah.
But there is one that exists.
Yeah. He took a lot of heat from
and he should have.
Yeah.
He's not innocent. I don't care. Listen, he's not innocent. He's not 100% innocent. Here, this is what you do when you talk to a guy like that. You let him speak. You kind of let him go through that little track that he runs around in his head mentally every single night because he knows he's guilty. You let him finish, and then you go, okay, so what percentage of innocent do you think you are? Do you think you're 100% innocent? And there's no way he can say that.
There's no way.
You can. I can. He can't.
He was sitting in the car with a gun.
Dude,
he had a gun.
Geeking him up. Hey, what about this? What about that? Well, I'm your security. You don't even need security.
He would have had to kill his boss to save Dave's life.
Which he should have done.
It should have. It would have been, oh man, it would have been way better. He would have been a hero.
What was the conversation like leading up to it about Dave, or even I tell you, Robbie Callabrese? That's a coin toss. Whoever he ran into, if it was Robbie would have got it.
Yeah, Robbie was so conflicted because he's still getting paid. Valentin Jordanov decided to not testify for the prosecution, and the prosecutor, Joe McGettigan, the same guy that put away Jerry Sandusky, here's Valentin. He's the second winningest wrestler in history, and the prosecutor's calling him a little punk because he can't tell the truth and he can't take the right sides. The fact of the matter is, Valentin became very close with du Pont after the murder because
I visited him in jail.
Yeah,
repeatedly. Continued to stay on his payroll.
He moved into a house near the jail.
Was the sole benefactor of his will.
Yeah, yes, and his whole family is worth hundreds of millions of dollars now. I think Valentin himself got 10 million, and then Valentin's brother got 10 million, his parents got 10 million, everybody's got 10 million, and it's incredible how many people in his family got 10 million or 15 million or 5 million or whatever. But yeah, he got all du Pont's money along with du Pont's lawyer. But Valentin, he made that.
du Pont got his soul.
Yes.
In exchange for all that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
He absolutely did. And listen, I think he's the head of the National Wrestling Association, right?
Yes, because he's got millions. I think he supports the whole Bulgarian thing. But he didn't have a choice. Well, his choice was
everybody's got a choice,
or stay in America and kiss du Pont's ass for money, and that's what he chose.
And listen, when you got family and you got kids, if you got hungry kids, man,
right?
Just to sit here and pretend that you won't do desperate things at a time of desperation, I get all that. I get it.
It was really hard. It was
well,
hard
when you watch the documentary, he will not answer in English, and which is very intelligent because one, when you got to express yourself and you need to explain something, you want to do it in your native tongue, so it doesn't appear that it's something it's not because it's a second language. But you can see he's bothered even until today. He's still haunted. You can look at him. He's haunted. He can't even look at the camera in the eye.
Yeah, he'll be that way forever because you can't get away from that.
No,
You
no,
know,
that's in your head permanently.
Alexander, Dave's son, was really good friends with Valentine's son. And after the murder, Valentine's family and Dave's family separated and had no more contact. And Xander was like, well, I guess there's some people that are meant to be in your life forever and some that aren't. And he's one that isn't. So he's like, goodbye. That was the end of him.
Oh.
But that's okay. We don't need him.
Yeah, I mean, I got strong feelings about it. And to be honest with you, as a reporter, I'm not supposed to have those and show those. I'm supposed to be in the middle of the road. But dude, like come on, man. Stop it.
You know what happened. And people that are out there that don't know, if you want to know what happened, you can buy my book. Don't see the movie. The movie sucks.
You don't see the movie. Yeah.
The documentary, though, Wrestling Demons, that's accurate. You can watch that. It's produced by Dana White in the UFC.
Yeah, it wasn't long enough.
It was only 30 minutes, and it was nominated for an Emmy, which is, I love the fact that it's nominated for Emmy because it shows you just how stupid that director was, taking my story, changing it that way, changing it so much you can't even recognize.
It got DEI'd. That's what happened.
Exactly.
Well, the guy you beat in the UFC, Gary Goodrich, is black, so we're going to replace him with a white guy.
Yeah.
It's like, well, here, if you're going to do a movie about the North Sentinel Island, I mean, are you going to put like white people on that island instead? They're kind of,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it doesn't make the movie any better by changing the guy's race.
It makes us, and where they justify it as, oh, people are talking about it. People are talking about how stupid it is. Get the fuck out of here.
That's what.
Sorry, Mark. Go ahead. Yeah, sorry, Mark. Go ahead, Mark. This is about you. One day we're gonna meet, and I got to get my picture taken with you, man.
Oh yeah.
So moving on.
Where do you live?
Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are you going to like I think it's either Junior Worlds or it's a tournament in Vegas. I think it's in 2027, maybe. Anyway, it's either the Junior Worlds or the Worlds. You should go to that because I'm going. We can meet up there.
I was in Philadelphia for Knucklemania, and it was the same time that you were in the NCAAs. Oh. And it was just, I know you had a lot of obligations. I shot you a text and you were like, hey, dude, you're popped with time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're working out. Rickson Gracie, through a teammate, I think, or maybe there's a go-between, is calling, stating he wants to have a no-holds-barred match with you.
Well, it was Steve Bishop, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu blue belt, a student of Pedro Sauer, calls me up. I'm at my home, just chilling, watching TV. And he goes, hey, this is Mark Schultz, Olympic champion. I go, yeah. He goes, the best jiu-jitsu fighter in the world is in town. Do you want to fight him? And I asked him, well, what are the rules? And he's trying to intimidate me. That's what I hate about this. He goes, there are no rules. I was like, really? No rules at all? What, are we going to commit a homicide? I'm going to bite his throat out, gouge his eyes out? But I wasn't going to back down from anybody. So
did you know Steve Bishop prior to this?
No.
So he cold calls you.
Yeah.
Holy shit. The world was a different place back then.
It was. You
Did
know,
you say, well, what about you, Steve Bishop? Why don't you come to the gym? I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, never mind Rickson. Let's get you, the guy
yeah,
making this phone call.
yeah, I know. I hate these guys that like try
Yeah.
stuff behind, they hide behind the tough guys. I don't like that. Anyway, I got revenge on Steve. I beat him to death for 3 years when he was in Pedro's club. You think you're gonna intimidate me? I'm gonna freaking hammer you.
Let's go through the phone call again, Steve. Come on, let's do
So,
it.
yeah,
But it was a blessing in disguise. You get introduced to Rickson and Pedro.
yeah. So I had to go to the NCAA's, and I said, okay, meet me in the BYU wrestling room a week from Thursday, and we'll commit a homicide, I guess. So I go into the room. The day finally comes around. I go in the room, and Rickson is trying to hook the heels of Alan Albright, my boss, and he's scooting on his butt trying to hook the heels of him, and Alan's just kind of pushing him away. And as soon as I walk in, Rickson looks over and he stands up, comes over to me and goes, "Are you the guy?" I go, "Yeah, I'm the guy." "Are you the guy?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm the guy." He goes, "What I do is punch, kick, elbow, knee, headbutt, but today we're just going to do submission grappling until one of us taps out." And I was like, thank God there's not going to be a homicide. So we went in the middle of the room and I took him down.
Wait. So your expectations going into this, was it in the back of your, I know how kind of a competitor you were. Was it in the back of your head going into this going, hey man, I'm about to go into a fist fight?
Absolutely. I thought this was going to be a fight for my life. I
And
mean,
he was there early.
huh?
He got there early.
He got where early?
He got to the BYU wrestling.
Oh,
He got
yeah.
there before you got there.
Yeah. Yeah. That day he did. Yeah.
I'm surprised you just didn't. We're going to start this now. I think I know the Schultz brothers, and that's certainly something that's kind of in your holster.
Yeah. Well, we did. We got right to it. Rickson goes in the middle of the room and he just kind of goes like this. I was like, all right, here we go. I took him down. I got him in a cradle for about 20 minutes. And then
So Pedro Sauer claims that Rickson eventually got a triangle for the first submission.
That's right. That happened. He did. One
So,
thing
so
that I forgot to tell you before, one thing Pedro remembered about that day that I forgot was after he put that triangle on me, I lifted him up and slammed him down, and he fell off of that triangle because of the impact on the ground. And but me not having any knowledge of submission holds, this didn't really trigger any kind of like new move for me. So he got his uh, his his triangle back after I slammed him, and then he tapped me out. I tapped out. He put and then
wait, hold on. For 20 minutes, you've got him in a cradle.
mhm.
Were we driving his knee into his head?
Well, no, because we're not striking, and I'm trying to drive his knee into his head as much as I can,
Cranking on
but
his neck,
I,
can
yeah,
opener, none of that.
I'm yeah. Cradles. See, the problem with wrestling is the the moves that work in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu are against the rules of wrestling. As a matter of fact, if you open up a wrestling rule book and you look at all the moves that are against the rules, it's kind of like a Jiu-Jitsu instruction manual. So I I didn't know what to do in this situation that I'm in now. But I did like I did like the triangle that Rickson put on me, I just thought that was the coolest move ever. I never saw that before. And so I go, let's go again. So we went another 20 minutes, and I haven't been able to get him on anything. And I had done some judo in Colorado Springs with Leo White. It's like more national titles than I think any athlete in history. Anyway, he used to kick my ass, but he taught me how to keep my elbows in and my chin down. So I knew that, and I knew the double wrist lock from breaking the Turk's arm in the Olympics. But that was really the only submission holds I knew. And of course, Rickson spent his whole life staying out of submission holds. That's all he does. And he's the best in the world. So, it was my first experience. It's against the best in the world. So I tried all this stuff, and then none of it worked. And finally, I thought, I've been on top of him for 20 minutes and then another 20 minutes, and I can't get him in anything. Maybe I'll let him try to get me in something by letting him reverse me. So I let him reverse me, and me being a wrestler, I go belly down like I'm in freestyle, trying not to get turned, and he just starts weaving in this.
You're not scoring any points on me, buddy. That's going to take my back.
so I got tapped out again.
With the Mataleon. What I think the important thing is in the United States, there's actually, under the Gracie system, there's only one black belt in the entire country without the name Gracie. Right. And that's Pedro Sauer at the time. Yeah. And Pedro also went up against, I believe he went up against Steve Albright.
Oh, Alan Albright?
Or Alan Albright. I apologize. And
I wasn't there for that.
Well, Pedro's words.
I think you're right, though. I think you're right.
Pedro's words were he couldn't submit Alan.
Okay. Yeah.
So you got two high-end athletes on both sides. And if you really think about it, they go 50-50 because this is an animal that the Brazilians are not used to seeing, not in the wild anyway. It's really
that's
not.
What they told me. First time I brought him to a BYU wrestling match, I've never seen anything like this before.
So Robert Drysdale, who is somebody I have an enormous amount of respect for, he's got a couple history books on jiu-jitsu. And he's got a controversial take on what took place between the two of you.
Okay. What did he say?
He said for somebody with absolutely zero jiu-jitsu experience to go 20 minutes with the greatest ever on two different occasions on the same day, he's looking at it as a W for you. He said, you throw Mark Schultz with 1 month of jiu-jitsu defense, throw him in a kid's class maybe for 3 weeks. He thinks the tide may have, if the table may have turned.
I really wish that Steve Bishop had not set up that fight the way he did, because it created this feeling of animosity between me and Rickson. And Rickson didn't feel any of that, but I did, and it became an obstacle in our communication. I didn't say one word to him from the minute I walked in there until the last couple minutes that we were together, and that's when he told me. He goes, Mark, you're the toughest guy I've ever gone against, and I was like. And I just loved him for saying that. And I thought, man, I want to be just like this guy. And so I found out he had Pedro, a student of his, right there in Provo, Utah, of all places. And Steve Bishop is the reason Pedro's in Provo, because Steve served him in.
Yeah.
Brazil. So.
If you think about it, like at that time, a jiu-jitsu instructor in the late 90s or mid 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, probably one of the hardest jobs in the world, because you got guys coming in off the street going, we're going to see if this stuff works.
Mm-hmm.
And
it happened all the time. When I was in Pedro's club, we had guys coming in all the time, and some of them got really hurt bad. And some of some of them we had mercy on. This one guy's arm was about to be broken, and the jiu-jitsu guy that was got his arm in this breaking position, he's like, "Should I break it?" And 'cause the guy wouldn't tap out. He's just one of these super proud, old dudes that just wouldn't tap for anything. And so I was gonna yell at him, just break it, but I didn't, and he didn't break it, and the guy walked away with I guess some pride, what was left of his pride. But yeah, I would have broke it, I'm sure.
So Tank Abbott also showed up to one of your wrestling practices with Paul Herrera.
That's right. That was a great time. My heavyweight, Mike Bolster, and Bolster means to boost, and he really did help me boost me before the UFC. He brought Tank Abbott and Paul Herrera in to BYU's wrestling room for 2 months. This was around October of 1995, and he came for my birthday party. He gave me a set of Harbinger gloves, and I really liked those gloves. And he, I, he was just, it was just so great to have Tank around. And he, um, he was not that good at jiu-jitsu. He was not that conditioned. He didn't have the conditioning, and we had Chael Sonnen in the room, and it was an interesting room, I'll tell you. We got all kinds of guys in there that are, that had some pretty big influence or impact on this
On the
evolving.
sport. Yeah.
I mean,
It's pretty wild.
it,
Even Paul Herrera. Paul Herrera's still killing it as a
yeah,
coach.
yeah. And Paul, he actually met my future opponent, which is kind of a coincidence in itself. There's so many coincidences that went on.
But it even started in wrestling. Like it started with wrestling and continued with
Yeah,
you and your brother. It's wild.
it
It's like a numerical thing that's taking place, and it continuously lines up with you.
it's I tell you, the things that had to fall in place for like that fight lore episode to be created was beyond coincidence. I mean, all these things had to fall in place just perfectly, which they did. And I mean, I'm still stunned to this day when I think about it.
Right. So the fight lore. Well, here the theory. I enjoy conspiracies, even if it means I make them up myself. Which this falls into that category. So my crazy tinfoil hat headset tells me the Gracie family had an incredible line to Sheik Technoon in the beginning ADCC tournaments. So much so that in like 2000, I think it was when Haben lost to Eddie Ruiz, Tank Abbott's buddy, when there's a couple instances where some of the Gracies lost where the tape just doesn't exist anymore. Like it just disappeared. It's been subtracted from the DVD. So that's the kind of sway the Gracie family had with Sheik Technoon. My belief is that this experience between you and Rickson and Alan Albright excluded you from ever being invited to an ADCC tournament as a combatant.
I can buy that. I think that's probably right. They kind of rigged it. I don't want to be disrespectful to the Gracies because I have a Gracie black belt, but they kind of, I mean, if you look at the real accomplishments of the fighters in the very first UFC, they're not world champions like they're being promoted. They're not even close. It's and I think if I mean, I really would have liked to see some some decent competitor go into the very first UFC. That would have been really interesting.
Igor Zinoviev would have been great.
Yeah. Or
Royce
Walt
Gracie,
Bayless.
Walt Bayless. They turned down a match for $1 million between Igor and Royce Gracie in Extreme Fighting Battlecade.
You are you making a statement or are you
No,
asking?
that's a fact. That's actually a fact. Yeah.
Oh,
Royce turned down $1 million to fight Igor.
why would he do that?
I think what it is that you're saying. Walt Bayless, you and Walt Bayless, how would you describe your relationship?
I would say my relationship with Walt is really good. I really like Walt a lot. You know, when I was with Pedro, I was with him for like 3 years, and he wouldn't advance me beyond the blue belt. And I was beating everybody, and I mean everybody. And Walt, after working out with Walt for 2 weeks, he gave me a black belt after 2 weeks. And we just went down to Fred Meyer and bought the black belt for $6. That's my black belt. But I'd wear that black belt in the Midvale Athletic. I started my own club at the Midvale Athletic Center, and I wore that black belt in there. And then that's when Chael asked me, "How'd you get your black belt?" I said, "Well, I went down to Fred Meyer and paid $6. If anybody can take it away from me, they can have it." That's what Walt told me a black belt means. He goes, "You can wear whatever belt you want. People can take it away from you, they can have it." Anyway,
Some
that's a
truth to
very
that.
different take on belt colors. I always thought the whole belt system was a genius marketing uh, gimmick, but it's an inaccurate description of somebody's skill. And Pedro told me this. He goes, in Brazil, first of all, there were only three belts in Brazil: white, light blue, and dark blue. And belts are not given based on skill in Brazil. They're based on how much time and loyalty you've given to that professor, which, makes sense. But it's not based on skill as much as it is time and loyalty.
January 26, 1996 is obviously a very, very hard day for you.
Yeah.
How do you get the phone call? How do you find out about your brother's passing?
I was in my office at BYU and my dad called me and he goes, "Are you sitting down?" "Yeah." He goes, "DuPont drove up to Dave's house and shot him, killed him." And I threw the phone at the wall and I threw a bunch of other stuff at the wall. I got cleaned off all the shelves I had in that office, and I cursed. I mean, I cursed to high heaven. I don't think anybody in BYU history has cursed as much as I did that day. And then I go home and I watch the standoff. There's a 48-hour standoff. DuPont has barricaded himself in his mansion for 48 hours, and then the cops he requests to the cops turn the heat off, and he requests to turn it back on, and they said, "Sure, go ahead, turn it back on." So he walks out, and they tackle him, and that's how they arrested him and ended the 48-hour standoff. But yeah, that's how I found out.
Do you know who Dick was at Nederland was the sergeant at the time?
Oh, the Marple Newtown Police Department, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't know any of the names of those
Yeah,
guys.
he actually lived on the ranch.
Okay. I know who you're talking about now. Yeah. DuPont always had a cop living on.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Not only
Yeah.
that, DuPont had a badge.
Yeah, he was like one of the auxiliary cops.
He'd go in the evidence room and he would walk out with a kilo of cocaine.
I don't doubt that.
I saw it in his dresser drawer. It's got evidence in bright orange letters on the side of the bag.
Holy cow.
One time I saw him take a straw and jam it in that bag, and he didn't even cut it up. You know how people cut up lines?
Oh my God.
He shoves it in there. He goes, he took the biggest hit I've ever seen. And I thought, you're going to go into cardiac fibrillation for sure. And I go, what do you want me to do when you go into cardiac fibrillation? He goes, call my lawyer. I go, you sure you don't want me to call an ambulance? He goes, no, call my lawyer.
Holy shit.
But he didn't affect him. He had taken so much cocaine. He built up such a tolerance, it didn't affect him.
When somebody's dealing with some obvious psych issues, I think that's the last thing that they need. Huh. May 17th, 1996. Do you got time? I know we've gone a long time. You want to be like I said, I was going to combine you and your there's just no way. There's no way. We haven't even gotten to your UFC fight yet or the fixed fight, and this is what we're going to do.
Maybe we should do a
part two. Yeah. Why don't we do that, and then we'll kind of mix in your brother as well. I think that's probably the right thing to do because we're probably going to need 3 parts.
Yeah, you can't really talk about one of us without talking about the other. But yeah, let's do that.
That's nice, though. That's nice. That's actually a really, really nice thing. It really is.
Let's, because
dude, it's 2.5 hours. We're good. You're giving me a ton of time. Let's space it out a few weeks, and we'll do a part 2, and we'll mix in Dave as well, because your insight in regards to his life, it means a lot to all of us. All right?
Are you sure this video is going to make it on YouTube?
It will make it on YouTube. Okay. I'm going to push it ahead. I'm going to bump the other guy. I'll put you on this Monday. All right?
Oh, okay. Can you find out how you got the video of our last one taken off? What?
It was because, to be honest with you, we were doing a live. He was watching something he shouldn't. And then when he went to end the live, I was with Dennis Hallman and Aaron Riley. We're just talking about just kind of the good old days. And by the time I stood up from here and walked to my bedroom, which is all of about 10 seconds, the entire channel was deleted and taken down. So that's what happened, unfortunately.
Okay, well, at least we've got this one.
Absolutely. And we're going to get that next one. Absolutely. Mark, absolutely love you, brother. Thank you so much for coming on.
Mike, you're the best. You really are.
You're the best. Take care, man.
Okay, buddy.
Joey.
All right. Some of these, most of them I make. Occasionally I got to miss one, and sometimes they hurt more than others. This one hurt, man. This was an interview with my childhood hero.
Yeah.
He won the Olympics in my hometown when I was 7 years old. So I've been looking up to that guy for a long time.
All right. So here's one. I'm an MMA guy.
Yeah.
I've proven that. And I'm a decent boxing guy. I'm an okay jiu-jitsu guy. And I struggle with wrestling, even though, if I were to power rank those things, wrestling is one of my favorite sports. As odd as that sounds.
Well, there's a lot of history to catch up on, because with MMA, you were there on day one. You saw it in real time.
Yeah.
To try to catch up with what the hell happened in Olympic wrestling in the 80s, that's a big ask.
And there's very little online.
That's true.
So, the one mistake I'd made was his coach, wrestler living with his coach. Guy was from Canada. You and I, we go to extreme lengths in regards to research. And sometimes we get kind of caught in the weeds, and then something like that can kind of bite us. And it would never happen in MMA.
Right.
But it could jiu-jitsu, and it could wrestling. And I'm glad
But we're here to iron out history.
No,
so it's okay. You're going to ask a lot of questions. A couple of them are your own.
A subject matter expert.
You want a yellow card?
Yes. There you go. Yes. You know, a subject matter expert would know that. And you and I can go toe to toe with the best subject matter experts in the sport of mixed martial arts.
Right.
With wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and boxing, not so much. Although we're good. We're proficient.
We're good, not elite. Yes.
Not elite, yes.
Now, so Mark gets a lot of love for winning the Olympics, but here we'll get in the weeds a little bit. What's more impressive is that he won the world championship the next year, and that's because that Olympics, the Soviets boycotted. So all of a sudden, this team that won all these golds go to the world championship, and I think Mark's the only guy that took gold that year.
Dude, the Schultz brothers, when they won like tournaments, the tournament where the Russians weren't there, they would go to Russia and wrestle them. I think that's where they got so much respect from the Russians. In fact, in our next episode with Mark, we're going to go over his brother Dave's career, as well as his dabbling in mixed martial arts.
Right.
We're going to get into both of those things. Fantastic interview. Somebody I admire.
Yeah.
I would suggest,
and a big question mark, a huge question mark, if he had dedicated himself to MMA at that time, if BYU didn't tell him, hey, this is human cockfighting, you can't be involved with our Mormon school and that sport, what could have been?
This is what I would do. Let's just say you're a smart fan like you and I. Like, we're a smart fan. You don't have many opportunities to flex this knowledge because, I mean, what the fuck, dude? Like, it's pretty bad.
It doesn't help you pick up chicks.
No. This is what you do. Go to eBay, get the 11x14 Mark Schultz picture of him on top of Big Daddy Goodrich. You get that framed and you put it on your wall. And somebody goes, well, what's that? Oh, do you have a few hours?
That's a test, and you just failed.
Yeah, but dude, if they pass it, it might be a dude.
That's true. Oh yeah. You bring a girl over, and she knows what that is. Get her out quick.
You get her out. Something's wrong. It's a setup. You know what I mean?
At the very least, she had an abusive dad. Something's wrong.
Dude, the government's on you. Get out of there. Yes.
Yeah.
So great. It's a great episode. I was happy with how it came out. Like I said, they're never going to be perfect, but we try our best to try to get them there. And we're going to do more wrestlers. I think we've got a bunch of jiu-jitsu guys. We should get more wrestlers.
Rico Chiparelli, you hear this? Give us a call. Another question mark.
That's a dream interview for us. Even on the MMA side. On the MMA side.
He trained a lot of champions, yeah.
So, but dude, excellent podcast. Thank you so much. And Joey,
I'll see you next week.
We got Marcus Davis, maybe?
Marcus Davis, the Irish hand grenade, aka the Celtic Warrior, for like an hour and a half. That was
like 20 minutes. All right, brother. Do your thing, man.
All right,
be good.